But now that you're at those points now, and now you are opening new doors, meeting new people, you know, and new levels are being opened up to you. What's the experience been like to realize that, oh wait, this is nothing, like meeting those people where it's literally like, this is nothing, you know?
I mean, I've personally known that since I was like 18. I've had that in my mind. I was like, you know, there's always someone better than you in every aspect. So that has helped me stay grounded, right? I can go buy a car, right? Someone has a better car. I buy a car for $500,000. Someone has a car for $3 million. I go buy a $3 million car. Someone has an $11 million car. I go charter a jet. Someone owns a jet.
That's true.
Right? So there's always, you know, more and more higher levels. So like that for me has always been to keep me grounded. Like, hey, don't think I'm better than people because I have this. And if I do have this and my intention is to say, look, I have this and you don't, I'm focused on the wrong thing, right? Because now I'm looking at people, I guess, lower than me, if you want to say it, and I hate saying that, but like at a lower stage than me. But my competition is not with those people, right? My competition is to look forward, not behind, right? So as I was always coming up, it was always like, what's next, right? What's next? I can't get complacent with this, not because of like greedy purposes, but I know there's a higher level and higher and more levels. So I can't be like, oh, well, I got this $500,000 car, I'm done. No, there's a $3 million car. There's not that I want it or I need to have it, but can I go and spend $11 million on a car? And
there's no end.
Exactly. You just keep going and you keep pushing, you keep pushing, you keep pushing. And you, in the midst of all that, you stay humble and grounded to know like, oh, I'm the best. Because the moment you think I'm the best and I've got into an end point, you lost, right?
And you know what's interesting? I posted a picture of my Ferrari and then I posted a picture of my Cadillac, right? The Cadillac got more likes and comments in the first 24 hours than the Ferrari.
Really?
Yeah. And I would think it'll be the opposite. But
why do you think that is?
Maybe because I think a Cadillac is much more attainable for people.
Makes sense.
Like, you know, and they haven't maybe seen that enough on social media.
Okay.
Rather than like if you look at a Lamborghini or like a Ferrari, they've seen a lot of them. They're like, oh yeah, just another Ferrari. Like it loses its respect. The more people see one of something, it just loses that, you know, that
value, you know,
desire or whatever.
Anyone can have it.
Yeah,
exactly. So I was looking at likes. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty interesting.
It is interesting, and
yeah,
you know, we were talking outside about number plates, for example. You know, was that ever something that came across your mind before? Like you probably thought the car was the limit.
You know, after coming to Dubai at first, I had a conversation with Roger about this too. I was looking at number plates and he was like, you know, if you have 5-6 digit number plate on a nice car, everyone's going to think it's a rental, right? At first I was like, no, I wouldn't spend money on a number plate. And after I had a conversation with him, every time I would see a nice car and I'd see 6 numbers, I was like, it's got to be a rental. It's got to be a rental, right? Yeah, I'm like, oh shit, now when I get a car here, I'm going to end up buying a goddamn number plate, right? And I'm like, oh shit. But it makes sense, right? It makes sense on why people spend money on it. It's just like why people spend money on a lot of things, right? So I get the concept.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's absurd. It's absurd, but yeah, it makes sense. It's absurd. It is stupid, but I started thinking about it after. I was like, oh shit, like I get it now, right? You can't have a Ferrari and you have 6 digits on your car. Like, no, you have to have a 4 or 3 digits.
Yeah, that's so strange because now that you mentioned it in that way, where he's said it to you and now he's opened your eyes to it. Someone mentioned to me about watches.
Yeah.
Before that point, I knew they existed, and I knew that, you know, I didn't, literally all I knew was Rolex was a good watch. I didn't know there was all these other ones at that point. But I remember like never caring about watches. Ever since this person said to me, oh, you know, watches can get you respect. Watches can
networking
open
tool.
certain doors and conversations.
And I've seen that happen. Yeah.
Right. I was like, ever since then, every person I've ever seen, even my wife, put me onto handbags.
Yeah.
I literally, as you can imagine.
Yeah, same thing for handbags for women. Yeah, there's handbags for 100 grand, 200 grand. You'd be surprised.
No, every time I look at, I see a woman or I see a guy, or even the woman with the watch as well. Every time I see a watch, I look at it. Before it would never be a thing.
Yeah.
Now I look at and women, I look at their handbags. They probably think I'm going to rob them.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm just like, oh, I know that handbag. I know that brand. You know, or I know you might have money, or it might be fake. I can't tell the difference with that. Same watch, I can't tell, to be fair. But it's interesting you say that. All it takes is someone to just say one thing or plant that one seed that then changes your perspective on things.